Welcome to Inclusion Influencers, brought to you by the National Alliance for Accessible Golf. I'm Dave Barton, Executive Director of the Alliance. Our goal with these conversations is to talk with folks who are making a difference for the game of golf related to bringing individuals with disabilities into the game. Joining me today is Tyler Bealke from the Gateway Section of the PGA in Maryland Heights, Missouri, right there outside the St. Louis area. Welcome to the show, Tyler.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks for having me. Excited to talk.
Well, we appreciate it. You're doing some really cool things there, and I'm anxious to hear a little bit more about you and what you've got going on there with the foundation, the PGA Rage, and the Gateway Section. So, you're one of our younger influencers, so I got to start with that. Graduating in 2021 from St. Louis University. I might be out of my element here since I'm aware you have a degree in philosophy. That's going to be an entirely different conversation someday. We might touch on that a little bit here in the beginning. But you were a PGA boat ride intern with the Metropolitan Amateur Golf Association in 2018. You've been a greenskeeper at Algonquin Golf Club, and in 2024 you joined the Gateway PGA and PGA Reach Gateway Foundation as a PGA Works Fellow. Shortly thereafter, on this rocket ship you're on, you joined the team full-time as the foundation's program coordinator, overseeing PGA Hope, PGA ABLE, which we're going to talk about today, and North St. Louis Partners, as well as assisting with foundation communications and also, I believe, pursuing your PGA membership, which is very cool. So that's where I say, wow, and welcome to the golf industry. And it seems like the golf industry better be welcoming you back.
You know, I've loved every minute of working in golf and the few years I've had in it, I've met some incredible people. And I think that's the thing that really draws me to this industry is the wide variety of people you get to meet, both working in the business and the people who are benefiting from playing the game of golf. That's really exciting to be a part of that.
Excellent. Well, when did you kind of pick up this passion, for either the game of golf, playing golf, or just being involved in it as a career? I mean, there's a lot of people involved in golf that don't play a lot of golf. I mean, there's not many of them, but most people that are involved in golf also like to play golf, but they're out there. But kind of what drew you into this? Obviously, when you're starting off and getting involved with boat ride internships and stuff like that, you had kind of a vision early on, kind of where you wanted to kind of uh, dabble a little bit. So, kind of what got you going down this road?
I've always been a big golf fan, but never really thought about having a career in golf, as evidenced with my major in college. I thought I was going to be doing different things, and then I kind of walked into some of these opportunities, and whether it was working for Algonquin as a groundskeeper, or it was working for the Metropolitan Amateur Golf Association as a boat ride intern, all different varieties of jobs. But kind of like I already mentioned, it's just the people in the industry that drew me into it. And I knew from an early age that I wanted to work for something that was bigger than myself, something where I could help others and impact others, and never knew it was possible to do that through the game of golf until I started with the Gateway Section as their Works Fellow. And I remember I was week 1 or 2 into the job, and there was a meeting with the chair of our board and Kevin Korn and some of our staff about this new program we were starting called PGA ABLE. And it's an acronym like all things PGA. It stands for Abilities Beyond Life's Expectations. And they were talking about this program that would bring golf to folks with disabilities and medical challenges. And I'm a childhood cancer survivor myself. So hearing this conversation and just being a fly on the wall 2 weeks into my job stopped me in my tracks. And I thought, wow, this is what I've been searching for my whole life, is something I can do to impact others while also being involved with the game I love. And what really drew me into it was, yeah, I mean, I was 2 years old when I had cancer, and I don't remember much of it. I remember all the checkups and everything, but the impact it had on my family and my family's friends and my brother and everybody in our life was powerful. And they said that the only time they saw me happy when I was going through that was when I was in the playroom or doing something fun or throwing the baseball around with my brother. So thinking of the possibility of me being someone who could bring that to kids in the area or folks of all abilities in the area really drew me into this. And I knew right then this is something that I want to do as a career.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I certainly was not aware of your experiences when you were a child, but it instantly makes me even further appreciate and value, the work that you are now doing a little bit with one of our board members, Kevin Korn, with Rankin Jordan, and we'll talk about that a little bit later as well. But yeah, so abilities beyond life's expectations, which all started, I believe, in early 2023. Uh, Focused with those with physical mobility and intellectual disabilities and or impairments. And I I love what this program is doing, and what it's done already in a couple years, especially with the Gateway Section and the association with the PGA of America, and how you can perhaps influence the larger network of PGA professionals and organizations around the country to kind of get on board with this type of program. Because I think they're needed in the adaptive golf community. Programs that serve, or try to serve all demographics. I think it's hard to get spread out sometimes because obviously there's a lot of demographics, age, whatever. There's just a whole bunch out there. And I'm in the PGA as well. And I know you're working on that. I'm a very, very proud member of that organization, having joined when I retired from the service as a second career. And I've done a little teaching with PGA Hope here in the Charleston area. I haven't taught in the last season or two. But I just got a little bit busy. But I love veterans programs. I love what that does, and so it's really good stuff. And said as a 22-year veteran, I mean, that's why I think I've always migrated towards veterans programs, before I got this job, because that's just the background I came out of. And that's probably a comfort zone and comfort factor for a lot of veterans to kind of be in that kind of group again, because that's just the way,
Yeah.
some of us are wired. But I think what's great about what you're doing in the program is the fact that it's going above and beyond that community. Okay. To dig a little bit more into how to get kids into the game, or how to get uh, non-veteran adults who may have impairments and disabilities as well to play the game. And so with that, it's great to see what you're doing, and you taking a leadership role for not only the PGA but adaptive golf community as well. So 2023 is when this all kind of officially got kicked off the ground, but I'm suspecting there was some work going on before that and some other people involved that were kind of helping steer the ship. So what can you share with me about where it all began?
Yeah, so the PGA Reach Gateway Foundation board had been talking about doing something to serve the broader community for a long time. How can we bring golf to more people? I mean, that's the whole mission statement, improving lives in the community through golf. And they have a PGA Works program under their inclusion pillar, as well as partners in North St. Louis who do golf programming for inner city kids. But there's this whole population of folks that hadn't been served to date, folks with various abilities, disabilities, and medical challenges. And there'd been PGA members in the community that had been doing these things for years. Like we mentioned, Kevin Korn, John DePriest, all sorts of PGA members in the Gateway section who'd been serving folks with visual impairments or physical impairment, whatever it may be. And it made sense to put something under the PGA Reach umbrella so we could better serve and have a better format and better communication and reach more people. So we had a board member named Zach Goers, and him and his wife have close family members who have Down syndrome, and they thought we should start a golf camp for them. So they came up with this name right around when COVID was happening, and finally made it to pass the board in 2023, and that's when we started programming right away. We reached out to local organizations, and they were amazed that we wanted to do something like that. And the buy-in was instant. The amount of folks we had participating in the program in the first year got close to 50. And that was just in a couple of months we threw it together. So Sue Rector was the chair of the board at the time, and she's well connected in the St. Louis community and really helped make some great relationships with other local nonprofits who are serving the same community. And it's been an incredible experience so far, and we're excited to see how much it's going to keep growing as we continue to do this.
Yeah, that's great. I know I maybe touched on it briefly when we were introducing you and just kind of doing some top cover here in the beginning. But so who is it? Who is the program? More specifically designed to support. As far as age or demographic or whatever impairment they may have.
So we really don't have any restrictions. We are open to working with anybody regardless of their ability. So Mainly, we work with folks with physical and intellectual disabilities, and then we are now in 4 pediatric hospitals in St. Louis. So, meeting kids and adults and whoever it may be, wherever they are in life. And as you know, working with this sorts of population, you have to be adaptable. You can't just expect we're going to run a 6-week program and everybody's going to show up at the same time and we're all going to do the same thing. So, we're kind of flexible with what the program looks like, but the gist of it is we work with anybody and trying to put golf clubs in hands and show that this is a game for everyone and anybody can have fun regardless of where they at in life.
Yeah, that's great. And I think too, as you've seen and I've seen, working with golfers with disabilities and seeing them come in the game, it's not a one size fits all situation. I mean, a person might have a particular disability that might lead to several different types of impairments, where it could be a mobility impairment, it could be something with a thought process. And it really, everybody's kind of so different. And typically speaking, very, very few of those individuals just have kind of one thing going on. There's
Yeah.
usually some other associated stuff going on. So I love the flexible approach to that. And, and I think this is really cool here, and just a great indicator of your program's potential is I understand that you've got a fantastic relationship with the Albert Pujols Wellness Center for adults with Down syndrome. So that's pretty awesome. And so, how did that all begin, and what's going on with that crew?
Well, they were our first partner. Like I mentioned, Sue Rector was well connected in the community and she introduced us to them and they immediately said, this is great. They have programming already throughout the summer for all their participants and age ranges vary. Some of these folks come out, they're 18 years old. Some of them are 40 or 50 years old. Some of them have played golf in the Special Olympics, and some of them have never touched a club before. So the first camp we had 25 participants in the auditorium of St. Luke's Hospital and blew up inflatables and targets, and we're just teaching everybody one at a time. This is how you grip a club, and we're gonna have fun with it. And since then, we've done 2 more years of programming with them and look forward to more future programming. And we get new participants from the organization, as well as a lot of folks who are returning year after year, looking forward to PGA ABLE every time it comes up on the calendar.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, for 25 folks or participants to show up for, session one, that's a pretty good number. I mean, because it
Yeah.
usually takes a while to kind of build up something. So that's a really good indicator of a need in your particular community for this. And as we mentioned at the start of the call, and as our listeners may be hearing, passing through Charleston here is a pretty significant storm right now. So hopefully we'll maintain our power through this, and nothing weird will happen. So I always like to ask this question of individuals who are involved in starting programs, from the ground up, because there's a lot to do, and that's an entirely different conversation that can take a long time. But being somewhat new in the industry, that's a fact, but you're super super experienced for where you've been, which is awesome. What sort of challenge did you have to kind of overcome, or face you didn't expect? Not that they're not normal challenges, but did anything catch you off guard or by surprise, that I wish I'd have thought about that, or how could I help someone else is thinking about this kind of stuff, something they might want to key in on in the beginning?
Definitely. The biggest thing that I didn't expect was while we partner with a lot of organizations that are working with the same population, they don't understand that golf is a game for everybody. They're so used to thinking, all right, well, we're going to have to get some sort of new equipment or some adaptive equipment or something that's unique just to our population that we're working with. Or you're going to have to teach things entirely different. Or, oh, this participant might not be able to do it because they're missing an arm or something like that. And having it, and we tell these folks, this game is for everybody. It doesn't matter if you're missing an arm or a leg or you've never played golf before. We can teach you the game of golf and you can love it. It might look a little different than watching Scotty Scheffler play on TV, but if you tune
Right.
into the US Adaptive Open, it's going to look the same as that. And those people are playing some high level golf. So,
Yeah.
really getting the buy-in from some of these people of there's nobody who can't try this game. At least try it and see if they love it. And I've gotten stories of parents who said, you know, well, where do I get these clubs for my kids? And I said, well, you can walk in any box store or walk in any golf course and they'll be able to sell you. And these parents they're amazed that they don't have to buy something unique or special that would serve their kid. It's the same clubs and same equipment you can use with anybody else, and you can go to any facility and hit range balls or go on the course and experience it just like the rest of the population.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really good point. As a matter of fact, I was writing a little bit about this the other day because I was just kind of explaining, what is accessible golf, what is adaptive golf, what is inclusion, all these words that we talk about, and I just, when I broke down, accessible golf, versus adaptive golf, right? To me, accessible golf is all about the spaces. Is the space barrier free? Can an individual get to the golf course parking lot on the golf course without having to go around stuff because of their impairment that keeps them from being able to go through it, whatever that may be. And when it comes to adaptive golf, it's really just a style of play, and there's kind of two versions of that. There are, the vast majority of individuals that fall in this adaptive golf category can still use, to your point, clubs off the shelf. They don't, certainly if they want to go get custom fitted clubs, they can. And the more they play, every golfer aspires to do that. But in the beginning, if you don't have an impairment that causes you to have to swing very differently, or because of a prosthetic arm or something like that, a connection point, off the shelf works for most of these golfers. The adaptive piece of that, of course, is, they are playing an adapted style of golf in many cases, because if they've got a prosthetic leg, they could still use, clubs that fit them, but not necessarily clubs that are made specially for them. Unlike someone who might have a double arm amputee or maybe one arm amputee, they might have to have some special clubs made depending on how they brace the club against their body or hold it. And I think, so that's the kind of the breakdown for adaptive golf for me. I think a lot of people kind of get terms kind of mixed up and thrown around in there, but it's much simpler than people think when it comes to, like you said, getting in the game. So that's a really, really sage point that you made there. And speaking of that, I was up in Rockville for the fourth Adaptive Open. Okay, and have you had, not a loaded question? Have you had a chance to attend an Adaptive Open yet?
I don't, I haven't been able to, but I really want to. I tune in every year on TV and look forward to it. I'm amazed by the skill of the people on the course. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, the women and the men were just fantastic this year. And I think, at least on the men's side specifically, just because it's a little bit of a different number, seven. There's eight impairment categories in the men's and women's divisions, and uh, there were eight men under par for 54 holes. Seven of eight impairment categories were represented in that under par group. So the
Wow.
impairment category winners in seven of the eight impairment category for men were under par for 54 holes. And Rockville, Woodmont Country Club in Rockville is a championship golf course by any definition, and it was just phenomenal. So, kind of, what's going on in Missouri right now? With the Allied Golf Associations, maybe your involvement with adaptive golf organizations, tournaments, things like that. Is it picking up steam, you think, or kind of what's going on in that area?
Definitely. It's picking up steam at a rapid pace. We have two USGA offices here. We got the Missouri Golf Association and the Metropolitan Amateur Golf Association, and both are running adaptive opens this year. And these opens have been going on in Missouri for a while, but the buy-in from the USGA on this has been phenomenal. And they're building out these events and reached out to us at the beginning of the year, both saying they want to collaborate and work together to try to make these events as special as they can possibly be. And they've secured some great facilities, and we're going to try to fill up the field and have two awesome, awesome tournaments.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I'll tell you, because I've been fortunate enough to be able to go to the two in Pinehurst, and then even got out to Kansas, and then Rockville this year and next year. Then they're going west. It's going to be out in Oregon for 27 and 28, and so it's making the rounds. I'm sure it's just going to be a matter of time before Missouri figures out a way to get that event in there in the center of the country, per se, give or take, on with what's going on. So let's segue for a second and revisit Kevin Corn just a little bit, because again, we want to talk about what's going on in St. Louis with PGA ABLE. I know that his program and y'all kind of work together. Kevin's been doing this program for 13 or 14 years, I believe now, and was recently recognized for his efforts. I believe they've named the school there the Kevin Corn Golf Academy, I believe, and they surprised him with that, which is really cool. But I know he's been going there once a week, hasn't missed a day for about 14 years, and we're lucky to have him on our board of directors. And I think, too, with what he's doing with just kids and just health and wellness, even if it's hitting the foam balls on the ward floor before they graduate to this cool little outdoor golf course they have to, chip and putt and hit some golf swings off of, is pretty cool. So I'm sure you know Kevin pretty well, and I are getting to know him even better. So how's that going with you and Kevin, and what y'all are doing with your respective organizations?
Kevin's fantastic. He's just such an advocate for adaptive golf and for bringing the game to everybody, regardless of their background. And he leads most of our PGA ABLE programs in the area. He's at Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital the first Wednesday of every month. Like you mentioned, he's at Rankin Jordan every Wednesday. Um, every opportunity he can to give back and to give his expertise, which is pretty big. He's happy to help out. I mean, it's what fills him up and makes him excited every day to wake up and get to work as a PGA professional. And getting to work with him has been amazing. He's taught me so much about both how to teach adaptive golf, but also um, the best way to communicate with these individuals and their families and the nurses and the doctors and how you can kind of bridge taking this sport up recreational, but also as a form of therapy, physical therapy, mental therapy, whatever it may be. So I lean on Kevin a lot, and he's a huge advocate for this space. And anything he can do to support, he always drops what he's doing to help out.
Yeah, I think, too, when you mention, communications and things like that, I mean, even when you're working with non-adaptive golfers, when you're coaching with them, there's a little thunder going on back there. I'm
Yeah.
sure you, but it's not like I'm going to say anything earth-shattering right now, but I'm just going to keep talking about what we like to talk about. Is that communications are important with any student. Okay, the relationship between the coach and the instructor, but when you're working with kids or adults that have different types of disabilities, whether it's sensory or intellectual, whatever it may be, or whether they're in a wheelchair or whatever that may be, there are some communication things and some kind of disability etiquette things that are nice to know. In the end, what the more you work with folks like this, it's just not a big deal. But in the beginning, it can be a little bit overwhelming for folks who have not interacted with someone who's in a wheelchair or has a prosthetic arm, because what do you say, what do you not say, what do you touch, what do you not touch, these kind of things. And that's not untrue with any golfer, but it's definitely a little bit different when you're working with folks with impairments. And I think Kevin is certainly a person that's going to be able to help advise anybody, and yourself in that, I'm sure. But
Yeah, it's a big misnomer of people thinking you have to have all the answers when you walk into a
right,
lesson. And so much of it is just developing a relationship with your student and finding out, hey, they probably are going to be able to tell you best what's most comfortable, what's working best for them. And
yeah,
and Kevin's showing me so much of it's just developing the relationship. That's the key to success when you're working with folks with various disabilities.
yeah. And I think these individuals, for the most part, are welcoming, the interaction,
Yes.
and the involvement with other people. It happens to be around the game of golf, but that's kind of this, interaction and inclusive element about just being part of something, being out of the house, doing something that feels good, that is fun. You're with your family, you're with your friends, and that part of the whole golf story with golfers with disabilities is really kind of the underlying element that really makes it amazing. I mean, to me.
Definitely.
All right, so we always get these kind of questions. This sounds like a resume question, but it's not, or an interview question, but it's not. But because I've got my share of these questions, and sometimes I answer them, and sometimes like the good question, I don't know. But where do you see the program in 2 or 3 years? Obviously, you've got some great connections. You're off on a great path to some growth, and certainly is your phone ringing yet from other of our PJ friends around the country asking, "Hey, what's this thing you got going on there in Missouri?"
Yes, definitely. I mean, the PGA show is a great opportunity for me to meet with a lot of folks in similar roles to mine at other PGA sections across the country, and I take that as an opportunity every year to share what the PGA ABLE program is and how easy it is to get this going. And all it takes is some time out of your day to reach out to PGA members or golf pros in your area who have a passion for this, a heart for it, and it doesn't take much, but our goals 3 years from now will be to be in every pediatric hospital in St. Louis and hopefully in the Gateway section. Uh, that's the greatest place to bring some joy into somebody's life who might be going through trying times. And obviously, like I mentioned in the beginning, it's close to my heart knowing that um, for the families of these individuals, just seeing their kid happy for once in a hospital can make a world of difference. And um, I think the other thing is just getting more PGA sections aware of how easy it is to get this program off the ground. All you have to do, like I mentioned, is take some time out of your week and just create some of these connections because local organizations are already working with this population of individuals. You just have to reach out, tell them you want to get involved, and they would welcome the help.
Excellent. That's fantastic. We touched on this a little bit about, partners and community support, and obviously certainly important in the beginning to get that going. Uh, and you mentioned Zach and some of the founders and original discussions in your relationship with Albert. And I mean, is anybody else that you'd like to speak about today that's involved in your program? It's a great opportunity for you to talk about them if you've got some, but don't want to put you on the spot. But who else is out there that's really helping you make this possible?
So one of our PGA members up in Springfield, Illinois, his name's Lance Fleury. He's the director of golf for the Springfield Parks District. He was an early adapter of this program and knew that there was folks in the Springfield area who could really benefit from being introduced to the game of golf. So they have a special recreation department with the Parks District that works all various sorts of activities for folks with a wide range of both physical and intellectual disabilities. So Lance started a program. They had over 20 people their first year, and I think this year is going to be their third year of running a program and just all in new folks every year and buy-in from all the pros in his community. All the folks he employs in the Parks District are now trained to teach adaptive golf and are eager to help out. They tell me every year, when are we doing it? When are we putting the next one on the schedule? Because they're so happy to get going with the PGA Able again.
Excellent. Well, hey, I'm gonna have to talk with you offline about our volunteer training that's free. So if some of these volunteers that are helping you out, feel free to reach out to us. They can easily access some shameless plug for our volunteer education that we offer for adaptive programs. And this is really is all about 30 minutes worth of communications and etiquette. What do you say? What can you say? It's clear this is very rewarding to you personally, and certainly professionally, right?
Watching somebody go through that and experience that almost um, bliss, this joy that somebody's experiencing when they're doing something that detaches them from the struggles they're going through. That's powerful, and somehow having a role in facilitating that's inspiring, and that's what really gets me going every day to wake up and continue my work.
That's great. Well, we're going to go through a couple of rapid fire questions here, and you can answer yes, no, however you like, or say no comment. They're not too complicated, but so let's bust through a couple of those real quick. Um, what would you have shot from the championship tees at Royal Portrush?
Oh my goodness, I don't think my slice would play very well on Irish links golf. Probably upwards of 100.
Okay, fair enough. All right. Who's your dream foursome?
Ooh, I got this recently and it stumped me. I'm a big Phil Mickelson fan. I grew up as a big Phil fan. So I think it'd be fun to play in a match with Phil on my team because that's always very entertaining against Tiger and somebody else, some other icon, maybe Scotty or Rory or something.
Good answer. Good answer. I would definitely want Phil Mickelson on the other team.
Yes.
I'll on the other team. I'll leave it at that. All right. Um, I could be wrong here. I'm assuming you're a Cardinals fan.
Die hard Cardinals fan.
Okay. So are they going to get it done this year?
Oh, goodness, the World Series, they've got no chance. We're fighting for playoffs. We'll see how it goes.
All right. Favorite golf course. That's our last rapid fire. Favorite golf course.
I was lucky enough to go to Ireland a couple years ago and played a course in the northwest of Ireland called Cairn, right on the ocean, crazy dunes land, and that was a special experience. And that was a moment in time for me. I was with my brother. It was just the two of us on the course. It rained the whole day, but that's definitely number one on my list is playing Karn out with my brother.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to go wrong over in that part of the country. That's for sure. Well, let's close with this, Tyler. What would you say to anyone, whether a friend, family member, or a golfer with a disability or impairment who may not know what is possible? How do you convince them that the game of golf is there for them and to come on out?
I think I'd start with golf. Golf is fun, and it's truly a game that can be whatever you want it to be. It can be a social activity, it can be an individual activity, it can be a way to meet new people, it can be a way to build relationships with your family and friends. So many people are golfing now. It's just a great way to get out of the house, do something engaging and fun and healthy, and you'll be amazed by how quickly you'll catch the golfing bug. Very few people start playing golf and don't end up wanting to play more afterwards. So I'd say give it a try and you'd be amazed with how far it'll take you.
Yeah, that true words. I mean, I play it because it's fun. There are days sometimes that may not feel the most fun at the time, but when you get home, you're kind of like, okay, I could have been doing a lot of other things today besides playing golf. And in the end,
Mhm.
uh, it was an enjoyable day. Well, listen, I've really enjoyed getting to know you and learning a little bit more about what you have going on in Missouri. It's great stuff and serves as a shining example of how to welcome all golfers into the game. Congrats on the launch of a great program, and I can't wait to see PGA Able gaining traction at other PGA sections around the country. Golf is a game for all, and that is exactly what PGA Able delivers. We'll catch you soon, Tyler.
Thanks so much, David. And thank you to the National Alliance for Accessible Golf for all the work you guys are doing. It's an incredible resource and we really appreciate it.
Well, that's very kind, and we appreciate the opportunity to work with great folks like yourself. And we will talk with you soon.